our next guest. This guy is honestly, this is the reason we have Command right here.
Yes.
This guy is the Chief Technology Officer of Keller Williams. His name is Chris Cox. Boom.
Hey
There
guys,
he
how are
is.
you?
Hi, Chris.
Chris, it's
Hey,
so
how's
good to see
everybody
you,
having a good
man.
day so far?
Great day.
Yeah.
Dude, it's awesome. We're excited to learn some cool things about Command, some where Command is going, where it's evolving. So I'm just gonna kind of like let you take it away.
All right. Can I share screen? Is that okay?
Yes.
I've got some slides.
Ooh.
It wouldn't,
Yes,
you
I
know,
bet.
I can't go anywhere without some slides. So if you guys are good with that, I'm gonna share my screen and walk you through. Let me just slideshow. All right. Can everybody see my screen? Can I get a thumbs up? from
Yes.
somebody?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, looks good.
All right, so what I thought I'd do over the next few minutes, guys, is just give you a sense of, you know, sort of the overall KW Tech vision and what I often refer to as our big rock priorities. It was refreshing as I was listening to the prior session because a lot of what you were talking about, we're working on making better. I also want to start by just saying it's how humbling it is to be part of such a great group like this, and just, you know, there's a clarity of mission around what we do here, and it's really about making people more successful, and that's what I try to remind myself every day when I come into work. So with that, let me jump right in. So a couple of months ago, you know, for Gary's benefit, I wanted to try to distill, you know, our mission down to, you know, the simplest elements. And so this slide is my attempt to do that. So when I said we're all about making people more successful, the more nuanced way to say that is we're really about delivering an integrated set of agent, CRM, and consumer platforms that make agents and teams more successful, period. And we believe those things that are most important are about how we do, you know, contact database optimization, a variation of what you were just talking about, how we support and turbocharge lead generation and management, how we deliver a much better best-in-class consumer experience for our agents, clients. And then over the medium term, how do we deliver something that's really differentiated? How do we deliver an integrated search, buy, own, and sell set of experiences that keep the agent at the center of the relationship with their client? And so I'm going to talk about a lot of that over the next few minutes. But this was my attempt to sort of distill everything down. Why do we come into work every day? It's really about this. It's about driving and enabling success. And if we remind ourselves of that every day, then that's our true north. We on the tech team are accountable to you guys, and I want you to hear that in a very honest, sincere, heartfelt way from me to, you know, to all of you. This is, you know, we take this really seriously, and feedback is often a gift. So I'm sure over the course of the morning and before this session is out, there's going to be things. Nick's going to give me a whole list of things, great ideas that came up, and I want you to know that we're going to work on those things that are most important, that are going to be most impactful to your business. This slide is really what I call the big rock slide. So what this is a form of saying, what are our biggest priorities? This is not an exhaustive list of all the things that we're working on, but it is a pretty good working list of those things that are, you know, that are the biggest, most complex things that we're working on. So I'm just going to go through them really, really quick, and so that you got at least my voiceover on this. The first one on command core functions. What we're really talking about there is making sure that for things that people have to use command for, regardless of what other technology decisions they've made, that contract to close, that process of getting paid, that we are radically improving that. So that would include things like how DocuSign works, which I know has been historically a pain point, but really that full continuum of going from contract to closing a deal and getting paid. The second one, which I call command integrations, is really about opening up command. And this represents a really big pivot from where we were not 2 years ago, because command, I think, was architected as what I call a sort of a closed-in system, in the sense that it wasn't necessarily designed at the very beginning to integrate easily with other CRMs or other agent or broker tools. And so part of what we're doing is basically opening up the aperture, opening it up in a way that through APIs we can facilitate integrations with those things that market centers, teams, and discrete agents have made a decision that it's technology that they're using as part of their business. So this is really about thinking about command as a hub. And it can be used end to end to run your business, but it can also integrate with other tools that you have. And so that's really the objective there. Teamification is a fancy word that we just made up, but it really is about, somebody was talking about this just a moment ago, about how command works for teams. So I think I would argue that when command was originally architected, it worked best for single agents, but not as well for small teams, large teams, or expansion teams. Now, we've done a lot of work to improve that, but what I want you to hear from me is we're going to do even more. We want to make command flexible for a whole range of different team configurations, and so that's really about making it more flexible. And what's required to do that is changing permissioning and role structures a little bit to create that flexibility. I won't drag you through the weeds on that, but making it ever better for teams is a big priority. Mobile first is really exactly what it means. So command was architected as a desktop system. With the introduction of Command Mobile, that was our first move into leading with design for on-the-go capabilities, and that's sort of a design philosophy that we're taking across everything. So what we want to do is design things that work best on mobile devices, a phone or a tablet, and then have that sort of reverse engineered into the desktop. So it's really just taking that mobile first development approach, and Command Mobile is just the first step in that direction. The consumer experience, this is that reimagination of KW.com. And what that means is sort of radically improving KW.com, and as importantly, the agent sites, and making and creating this, set of integrated, search, buy, own, and sell set type of experiences. So we're hard at work on that. Lead generation, it's all about leads, and arguably that's probably an area where command has not been nearly as strong as some of its competitors, and so we're really leaning into to fix that by doing things like overhauling and significantly improving the campaigns app, as well as doing things to support contact enrichment of the contact database, and making it easier to do lead routing and across different team types, etc. So this is a big, huge priority, and one that we're absolutely committed to turbocharging. And then finally, you've got what we're calling sort of the digital market center, or the digital region, and that is about improving Connect, both the ability to deliver learning and training content, but also event management and the ability to search stuff and actually find it. And then there's a whole array of things that we're doing with Command MC. And then if that's not all enough, we are working overtime to work on deprecating Winmore and replacing it with a cloud-based solution. So this is not an exhaustive list, but it is sort of a one-page representation of the biggest rocks So I hope you heard something from me that resonated. The work is never done, right? Like any good solution can always get better. And my pledge and commitment to you is that we'll never stop like making this better.
Can
And
I
we
just
want to
say,
do.
oh, sorry. I just want to say one thing because there's a couple things in the chat and I want people to have more clarity around number 2, command integrations. Yes, an easy way would be go to Zapier and connect tools together. But that is not an integration. Am I wrong about that, Chris? Because an integration is something that's built into the system itself, right?
Yeah, not to get too techie on you, Nick, but I would say that integrations come in multiple tiers. A tier 1
Okay.
integration would be something that's almost feels like it's embedded within command. A tier 2 integration might be something that has a clean API, but it's clear you're jumping from one system to another. A tier 3 might be a real opportunistic integration, and we need to be able to do all 3.
No, I agree with you. And a lot of people are, asking questions, what about this? What about this? What about this? But I'm looking at your list of 7 and everything that people are saying, what about fall into one of these 7 big rocks. That's what I'm seeing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm trying to catch up on the chat as I'm talking, which is always.
Don't worry too much about. You're going to get bogged down in with some of that stuff.
Some of the stuff that's come up in chat, we're working on. Somebody, just for example, made a parsing. We're working on email parsing. We're doing, so there's a lot of this stuff I feel like is right on the money. But what I want to do, if it's okay, Nick, is audit the chat log here to make sure that.
Yeah, I can give you the chat log.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Let me.
I wanted people to understand, a lot of the things that they're asking for, if you really think about it, it does fall into one of these 7, because I can't think of any. Even, they were saying, what about command for leadership, digital market center regions? That's command MC, and I know that you guys are working on that. I mean, I just saw a revised version of what that's going to look like the other day, and you didn't forget leadership.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let me run through the rest of the slides, and then what I'll try to do, leave us some time for for questions and whatnot. So what I've been also trying to do is do a little myth busting. So I heard as I was getting on that there's some old tapes out there that command doesn't work, command doesn't support teams, command doesn't do this, command doesn't do that. When you actually look at the usage, it is actually quite astounding. So we have about 185,000 total active users over the last 12 months. So that means 185,000 people have come in and done something in command. On a monthly active basis, which is what we track really, really closely, there's about 115,000 agents on average over, say, the last 3 months that are in command every month. And we look at that stat, we look at weekly active users, but we're really trying to get a sense of how frequently and how deeply people are using command. So in the month of September, you can see some of the stats that I have on the right-hand side of this page. So it's not an insignificant number of the total number of KW agents that are and team members that are actually in command doing stuff. So 90,000 used contacts, 69,000 opportunities, 43,000 in smart plans, and so on. So and what's interesting is it's grown steadily since launch, but really over the last 12 months we've seen a tremendous amount of growth, and I think it represents that pivot that we made after we sort of stabilized and improved the basic performance of command. And then subsequently started introducing a lot of new features. And so I use this slide sometimes to say, when people say people don't use command, well, that the numbers don't lie. So talk about command mobile. So command mobile is not quite a year old. It's 11 months exactly. So we launched it in December 1st of last year. We've done I think we're at 6 releases. So we're doing a release about every other month on Command Mobile to improve functionality. So we've got about 74,000 people that have gone in and tried Command Mobile at some level, and on a monthly basis, about 35,000 are using it on a month-over-month basis, and that is growing at an even faster rate than overall Command. So a lot of adoption and pickup, but always an opportunity for us to do a better job of promoting it. And you can see some of the stats around how people have used Command. 313,000 calls, 163,000 texts, 28,000 emails, 53,000 contacts of smart plan updates. I mean, and I just picked some stuff to give us a fairly representative view of this. This is, if you go into this is from the iOS store on Command. So this is just a quick summary of some of the reviews that we've gotten on Command. So we're right about a 4.8 average on a scale of 1 to 5 app rating, which is pretty good. I go in and I look at this like every week. So people are posting stuff out there. I'm reading it. We're trying to internalize whatever feedback we're getting and really make sure that we're listening to people who are using the app. Contacts. I wanted to give you guys a sense. This is a lot of numbers on this chart, but I want to draw your attention to just a couple. So since Command has been opened up, there have been about 96, almost 97 million contacts loaded into Command. Of those, there are about 60.1 million that are unique contacts. And then as you go
what's
down,
the difference between gross and unique?
Gross which is just a raw count, and unique means I am controlling for duplicates. So the way to think about this is that there are 60.1 million people in our contacts in Command. We've deduped, that number is deduped, and if you think of that as a percentage of the adult population in the US, it's actually pretty significant. It way outpaces, to my knowledge, any other CRM out there. So when Gary talks about the power of a database, it's proven out in the numbers. Now, when I talked earlier about contact database optimization, as you go down the funnel here, the numbers are still large, but they get smaller when you look at how much data is in a particular contact record. And so when we talk about contact database optimization, we're not only talking about getting more contacts into Command, but we're also talking about how do we support enrichment of those contacts. If we have a name and an email address but not a phone number, or a name and a phone number but not an email address, how do we increase that contact profile, that quality of that record, so that there's more data to work from. And so I wanted you guys just to get a sense of the order of magnitude. What I also thought you might find interesting is the relationship between the size of the contact database and agent GCI. So it's not surprising. It's not surprising that the more contacts you have on average, the greater gross commission income is being produced. So when Gary talks about the power of the database, it's really proven out by this chart. I know there's a lot going on in this chart, but the y-axis here is number of agents. The x-axis is the number of agents that have specific number of data contacts in their database. And you can see with the red line, there's this straight upward trajectory. The more contacts you have, the more business you do. And so it's really that simple. The slide is complex, but it's really sort of that simple. I think that one more slide. So one of the things we also do, guys, is to make sure that we're constantly really assessing where we stack up relative to competitors. And so we want to enable people to do more stuff, and we want to be able to deliver at a competitive or lower price point relative to other CRMs. And so with David Voorhees and Donnie Brookman and many others, we're working hard in basically creating a view of how we stack up relative to competitors. Now, I'm not going to try to walk you through this chart. It's just an illustration of the work that we're doing. But you can see here, just by the number of green check marks, that functionally, in terms of the breadth of function, what we enable through Command, we stack up really well against some of our major competitors. This is just all we could fit on one page. So we're constantly, what I want you to take away from this is that we're constantly saying, how can we get better? How are we at minimum at parity with any other CRM? And then where it matters the most, where are we way better? And when I talked about the work never ending, it really never ends, because this is a dynamic environment, and we enable you guys to win if we're constantly have our eye on the ball, and to make sure that we're highly competitive with any other CRM out there. So
this list is so cool.
Yeah. So
this is so cool.
Yeah. The what's on the list on the far right hand side of the page is sort of a way that we came up with, and I have to credit Jason Abrams and David for coming up with this. But this is just basically how what agents do and how they do it, and that's how we're benchmarking, how we stack up to other CRMs. And so, Nick, these were all the slides that I had prepared, but I just thought
I think this is great. I think it's great. Lots of good information and side-by-side analysis. Can you tell us, what you can tell us, like where, like, we know that consumer platform is on a roadmap for improving, but like, where do you see Command like in the next year or 3 years? Like, what can we? I know that you probably have a really long roadmap, but I guess I'm trying to just ask, like, where are we going? You know what I mean?
I think all those big rocks that you saw on that one slide, Nick, they're all not, sort of just things that we're doing this year and next year. They're things that we, that we're going to, always be working on. But if I had to sort of net it out, where I see Command in the next year, and let's say the next 1 to 3 years, is that we're going to improve the usability of Command and have it work better for more, different types of agents and different types of team configurations. So we're going to we're working really hard to improve the overall usability. 2 or B, we're, the whole thing around lead generation, we're really focused on, because, I think it is, particularly in a market that's changing, in a market that's shifting, we have to be more precision oriented and scale oriented around how we support the generation of leads, the ingestion of leads, the management of leads, the nurturing of leads. I think, and that comes loud and clear. That when I talk to Gary and the leadership team here, that's the message, is that we need to empower agents and teams with a better leads engine. And so that's that's number 2 or B or whatever. C, I think that we also believe that we have to deliver a better overall consumer experience. So I saw in the chat, somebody asked about what the homeownership experience is. So arguably what KW.com does today is it supports the ability to search for properties and connect with an agent. Beyond that, it doesn't do a whole lot. What we want to be able to do is significantly enhance the ability to search with a greater number of filters, and with the app and the website producing better, better results. We want to make sure that on the buying experience that we create something akin to like a pizza tracker type of thing. Once I get something under contract, how do I go all the way to close? And then the home ownership experience is really about, so I bought a property from KW Agent. How can I use the kw.com site or the mobile app to manage my home? How do I get in contact with service providers that could do work on my home? How can I understand the value of my home? How can I work checklists for maintaining my home? And we want to deliver that sort of post-transaction homeowner experience in a way that keeps the agent close to their client after the transaction, all the way up to the time that they're ready to sell their home and buy another. And so it's about, what we're trying to lean in and address is that old statistic that everybody hears is that something like 92 or 93% of people who say that they would use the agent that they used to buy their home next time they were ready to buy another home, but only 20% or less do. What we want to try to do is make sure that we deliver a home ownership experience that keeps that agent at the center of the relationship with their client. And we want to radically improve agent websites. So this would be, the nickbaldwin.kw.com site, right? Which today is, like, I would argue, is maybe two-dimensional at best, but we really want to increase the ability to customize and personalize that, and also optimize those sites for search engine results and for lead capture. So off the top of my head, those are three that I would just highlight. But what I'd also say, maybe to round out trying to answer your question, Nick, is it's the way this evolves has got to be, it's got to reflect what is most important and most impactful to agents and teams. And so that's why I'm so excited about an event like this, because why I want to get your chat log is I need to make sure that we're hearing everything that is important to folks, and that we're constantly and dynamically reprioritizing things to deliver those things that matter the most and drive business. Period. Was that
so good? Love it, Chris. Awesome. Thank you so much. Give Chris some hearts and thumbs up and cheers in the chat down there. Look at all those hearts, Chris. Look at all those thumbs up.
This is so awesome. This is so awesome.
So cool.
Nick, this is such a great event. It makes my heart sing just knowing that what we're doing, is helping people and helping them be more successful. As I mentioned at the very front, that's what this is all about. That's why you come into work every day. That's why you keep your nose to the grindstone, is to enable agents and teams, period, into discussion.
So good. Chris, thank you so much. Give Chris